2014 was a big year. And I recalled a story I had seen on the BBC from years before about a Scottish sheep farmer who had his sheep stolen. And in order to deter the thieves, he had dyed them all pink. So there were all these pink sheep out in a green pasture on the side of the road in Scotland. And this image, I just couldn't get it out of my mind. And I have family in Australia. So through a connection, I was able to get in touch with a third generation sheep farmer who was willing to let me come down to Australia, work with them to dye the sheep, and then shoot them in their fields. And he told me that there was a vegetable based non-toxic dye that we could get, and that he had a area where he misted the sheep occasionally for ticks and fleas, and that we could just put the dye into this and it would mist the sheep until they turned, blue or pink or red, green, yellow. When we arrived at the farm and I saw those dyed sheep out in the green fields, your jaw just dropped. I was terrified that it was going to start raining, and if it rained, all the dye would come off the sheep. So we kept them in the barn, and all of a sudden the sun came out, we let all the sheep run into the field, and sure enough, a giant rainbow appeared over the sky, and I sprinted to the back of the field, turned my lens, and got this shot. And as I'm shooting the sheep, another rainbow comes in. So there's two rainbows and then all the colored sheep. It was quite a spectacle. After we got the shot, we quickly blew up the Mylar balloons and placed the word dream just behind these sheep. And it became the name of this series. When I got back to LA, we started working on product design. And the first products we put out were iPhone cases. And then we worked on wallpaper. And I just thought, what if I could do something bigger? Something maybe like a collaboration with some other company. And there was this picture I had taken of my feet dangling from the helicopter while I was shooting the beaches in Chicago. And I thought, Gray, you love these shoes. These Sperry topsiders are your favorite shoes. What if you could get the image of the beach onto the shoes? So I tried reaching out to Sperry Topsider, and as you can imagine, it's not easy to find the right person at a company like that. And I didn't give up, I kept trying, and one day I pulled a Hail Mary and I wrote on Facebook, "Hi friends, does anyone know anyone at Sperry Topsider by chance?" And what do you know? A girlfriend from high school knew someone there, and she connected us. And then, I kid you not, they were interested in collaborating. I was over the moon, and we went into product design. Gray Malin, ex-Sperry, suddenly at all their stores around the country and online. So the idea that this silly thought from a helicopter shoot proved to become this incredible collaboration is really special. After Sperry, I really felt like the sky was the limit. And our Instagram had hit 10,000 followers. And sure enough, one day I got an email from someone at Starwood Hotels, and they were interested in doing a global partnership. And I was like, are you serious? This would be an incredible opportunity for me. So we decided to work together, and I went around the world and shot 3 series. So the first one we did was in Barcelona. We created custom inner tubes, about 250 blue, red, yellow, orange, black, etc. And we floated them all out on the water at the hotel. And I got in the helicopter, and I'll never forget, as soon as I came over, I looked down to start to shoot them. The inner tubes had blown everywhere, and they had basically turned into a giant tornado. And we flew back and quickly realized that I needed to shoot this from the roof of the hotel. So we shot each one, and it was such a cool series. It was very pop art. We had different models sit in. and the different colors really popped on the water. And this project ended up becoming Poolside Mediterranean. And then we flew to Bhutan. And my dad had been there before, so I knew a lot about the culture and that Bhutan is known for being one of the happiest countries in the world. So I thought, what evokes happiness? And for me personally, I am obviously obsessed with balloons. So it turns out it's really hard to source helium in Bhutan, and it had to be brought in from India, and it got stuck at the border. So while we were waiting, I had to think on the fly, and we decided to do this shot where we inflated all of these balloons and we pushed them up against these big wooden doors, and it was literally this beautiful shot, like you were opening the door to happiness. So we started shooting all around the country, from beautiful rivers and streams to open fields. And there's a moment that was so special. I was shooting this huge cluster of balloons in a field, and there were all these children from the town, and they were just smiling ear to ear watching because they had never seen a balloon with helium before. And after I was done with the shot, I went and gave each of them a balloon, and to see their happiness was just so unbelievable. So after Bhutan, I actually went to Bora Bora, and I had a wild idea. I thought, what if I could take beautiful interior settings and float them on a raft and shoot them in the exterior of the environment? So we created a raft made entirely of mirror, and we air freighted in about 40 different pieces of furniture from Los Angeles to Tahiti, and then it was brought by boat to Bora Bora. And we would place them out on this raft, and I would shoot them scene by scene in front of the beautiful mountain. What was really hysterical is that there was so much intermittent rain that we would have to take the raft back to shore, squeegee the whole thing off, and then bring it back out to the water. And every shot just took a lot longer than you would imagine. And there was this one shot I was so obsessed with. We took a famous Ames chair, an ottoman. We had it out just perfectly on the raft, and it's called The Study. One of my favorites, not to mention the living room, the porch, the two chairs. Just each one is very different. And this series really juxtaposes natural and man-made beauty. So after I got back from Bora Bora, Jeff and I went on a fun weekend to Palm Springs, and we stayed at a hotel we had never been to called the Parker. And my gosh, did this hotel get my imagination going. I was laying by the pool one afternoon, and I started to have these thoughts of penguins standing there, and a monkey, and maybe even a lion. And I had no idea that this would become my next project. I hope that by hearing these stories, we are able to connect, and that by listening to this whole journey, you are able to understand the value of your art. It's so much more than a photograph.